This is so weird. I feel like I just want to record this. I have a lump in my throat, but I think I get emotional because it's like, I've just been looking into the ADHD thing, and I never in a million years would have ever thought that it would be something that would affect me. But then you hear all, like, I've been watching videos and stuff, and I don't get emotional about stuff like this. But because it's like all these little puzzle pieces are like clicking into place, but I never knew they were out of place in the first place. And because I didn't know that they were out of place, I was just hard on myself and compared myself to other people and thought it was just like a personality flaw or like a character flaw. It makes so much sense. I have a doctor's appointment next week to get a referral to go and speak to someone just to see what they think. I just want to know. It's like the only reason it ever came into my like consciousness was because the nature of my social media is that I'm, explaining, I'm just talking about my life or things that I'm struggling with or projects that I'm working on, or I oftentimes use like my social media platforms as like a journal where I just share things. And recently a lot of people have been saying, have you been tested for ADHD? And I was like, of course I don't have ADHD. Like I'm not hyperactive, like I'm not really super messy, even though I actually kind of am. That's the thing, it's like you had this idea of like as I'm getting older, it's getting harder and harder for me, which I think probably maybe is why women get diagnosed in their 30s, because it's like it catches up with you. And I don't even know why I'm emotional. I think it's because it's like kind of like making sense of myself. My voice is funny when I cry. Sorry for all the sniffling. Oh, like I've got like pink eye. I've always been so sensitive to sound. I'm like really fussy with certain textures, like even the thought of even the toilet roll, an empty toilet roll scratching the inside of the wall, like the paint in the wall makes my skin crawl. Like my memory is so bad. Reese will talk to me and I'll just forget what he said and I feel so bad and I have to like write things down. He is the opposite of me. He remembers everything, he's super organized, he does tasks as soon as they need to be done, which I'm not good at. And I know that it's not hard to put your washing away as soon as it's dried, or put your clothes away as soon as you've taken them off the line, or whatever. And some things I find easier, like cleaning dishes after we've had dinner, or like cleaning as I'm going, that's fine, I can do that, I enjoy doing that because it gets rid of clutter. But like putting the washing away, or if Reese has an appointment, he'll book it straight away, he has his dentist appointments booked, like every 6 months, everything is just, he gets his haircuts, but like everything is so perfectly booked. I can't bring myself to do that. It's not like I find it hard. It just takes a lot more energy for me to do that. I have to be doing something else. Like I'll do the washing, I'll put my washing away when I'm on the phone to someone, because I've got nothing else to do while I'm on the phone and I always need to be doing two things at once. Like right now I'm working and I'm watching like a Crash Bandicoot live stream. It's also probably why I never realised that I hate going to the movies, because I can't just sit there in silence. You can be doing something at the same time. And then I thought about the thing with kids. I never made the connection until recently. And again, I haven't been diagnosed, so maybe I don't have ADHD, I don't know. Kids just generally, I've never wanted them, and the older I get, the more sure I am. And I honestly think a lot of it comes down to the fact that freedom is so important to me, and you lose so much freedom when you have children. It's a sacrifice of all of your free time, all of the time that you spend on yourself. You can't do those things that for me allow me to like slow down and calm down and like be quiet in my head. Watching a movie or sitting in silence or going outside and taking photos of bees, like that's where my brain shuts off. It makes me feel like insignificant, like I'm just a drop in the ocean. But if I had kids, I wouldn't have that, and so I know there is no doubt in my mind I would get postnatal depression. Like there's no single doubt in my mind. And I can't sacrifice that quiet. It's just too overwhelming. The thought of that is just pure overwhelm. And it's even like in high school, I used to leave all of my assignments to the last minute. I did them well, but I could only ever do them if I had no other choice but to do them. I could not do it ahead of time. It's why I like start so many projects, like the podcast, and then I get burnt out. I've always said like I'd be like I would get so much done in 1 week, and the next week I'll just do nothing because I just burn myself out. I'll start all these projects because I get really excited, and then I get bored of them, and then I just ditch them, which makes me feel like I literally said to Reese, like, what's wrong with me? Like why am I so flaky? Like what What a bad character trait. I'm impulsive. I'll get a new oh, I want to do macro photography, so I'll buy a lens, or I'll just start all these random little projects because it brings me oh, this is fun, this is exciting. And then again, it'll burn out. And it still doesn't make sense to me to think that I would have ADHD, because it's what everyone thinks of that is just I just think of scattered. I think of scattered. Some people, maybe it's a spectrum, I don't know, or some people, it really affects their lives and that they can't make, I can make appointments and stuff, I can keep appointments, but they have to be written down. I'll have to check my phone, otherwise I'll forget. And so I always thought it was just people that just it's really severely affected their lives. And I think because I've gotten on so, with my adult life, I've gotten on fine. I think that's why I'm emotional now, because it's yeah, but could it have been easier? I think it could have been easier mentally, and I could have been nicer to myself. People have said as well that people pleasing and perfectionism is a sign, and that really affects my life. People pleasing and being so scared to break the rules or have someone yell at you or tell you to do the wrong thing because you have a fear of, I've read that it's a fear of rejection. I don't know if it's rejection. I have a fear of being told off or doing something wrong. It's so hard for me to retain information now as well. The past few years, Reese will be talking to me, explaining something, and it's I can hear it in my brain, but it goes nowhere. Am I just stupid? Am I an idiot? There's this wall in my head that's really interested. If it's a plan for a sprinkler system, which I couldn't, it's so uninteresting to me because it's sprinklers. So he'll be telling me about this system, and I want to listen to him because I care and I know he's put so much effort into it, but it's it goes into my head and it's just words, and it doesn't sink in and form information. I have to work so hard piece by piece to make it make sense. And I think it's really just stuck for me because he's so smart and he's so able to do everything. He's just such a good adult. Saying oh, I've got ADHD just sounds so foreign to me. I think that's why I get emotional, because it's because I've never considered it. It's come out of left field, which is just throwing me off. I just wanted to document this because I've got my doctor's appointment in a week. I'm not going to upload this until I speak to an actual psychiatrist.
Waiting in my car. Why do I feel nervous before these things? I'm going to ask for a referral for an appointment with someone that can potentially diagnose ADHD. I don't really know how it works. I told Reese last night that I was going to the doctor's today. I felt like I didn't want to tell him at all because I was worried that the doctor's going to say, no, you're completely fine, you don't have ADHD, and then I was going to be embarrassed that I thought I did or something. So I was I'm not going to tell Reese, I'm just going to tell him if I get the diagnosis. But then he didn't have work today and he was meant to, so he would have noticed that I left. So I told him and he's why would you why would you think that I would think that? He found it completely unremarkable that I was going, because he thinks it's important that I go if I think that I need to find out more about it and stuff. It's just, funny that I'm scared of judgment. It's he's the last person on earth that would judge me and the first person that would understand if I do get the diagnosis, because he lives with me. 5 minutes, I better go in now. Wish me luck. Okay, I'm back. She was lovely. Appointment took 23 minutes. I think the standard consultation is 15 minutes. I don't know if I needed the 30 minutes, but it's probably better for me to schedule more of her time rather than make her late with other people. Anyway, she wrote me a referral. I'm just reading the referral. She was typing for ages. I didn't know what she was doing, and that makes sense. It's so embarrassing. She asked what I do for work. Why is it so embarrassing to say that I'm an influencer? That word just makes me want to jump into a pit of boiling water. At the end it says, Lauren functions highly in works and social media. She describes being very intentional in designing her work and life to reduce her stress and play into her strengths and limitations. She does, however, feel that things have been more difficult than they otherwise could have been for her to achieve what she wants to do. She does not experience any mood disturbance. Did I even say that? I don't think I did, but I don't really. She has difficulty concentrating for more than short periods, finds herself starting projects then getting bored quite quickly. She often struggles to concentrate in conversations unless she is very interested. She has always been a procrastinator, requiring an impending deadline to get anything done. She has also some sensory aversions and hypersensitivities to noise and smell. This is with a private route. She said there's 2 ways you can do it. If you want to, if you're interested in medication, which I don't even know if I am or not, but I guess I need to speak to someone about that properly. She said it's good for focusing, and it's good if you're a mum and you're really anxious around just being overloaded, like mums with ADHD, I don't know how on earth they survive. But anyway, so she says 2 routes. One is that you can go to a psychologist. They can't prescribe any medication, but they can give you a diagnosis, and that's like a couple of months wait. Or you can wait to speak to a specialist who can prescribe medication, and that wait is 6 months. So I was like, oh, do I just do both? Do I do one or the other? And I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna wait for the 6 months. I'm able to function fine. Like, this is more just for my own peace of mind. Like, I just want to know myself, and I don't want to wait all that time and then find out that maybe medication would have actually been really effective or helpful for me, but then I have to wait another however many months. So I'm just gonna wait it out. I will see you in 6 months. It's not 6 months into the future. It is the next day. I called the clinic because they accepted my referral. I didn't even realize. I just thought if you had a GP referral, you can just get an appointment. But I guess if the referral itself isn't convincing enough to the clinic, they're probably so busy that they're like, that person probably isn't going to qualify. So there's no point in them like even getting an appointment. And called up this place, which is the only one that exists locally to me. Like the rest of them are all in Perth, so like 3 hours away, more than 3 hours. She said, so the doctor is fully booked 2024. The next available appointment is April 2025. And I was like, oh wow. The doctor said 6 months. Like my GP said 6 months. And then I was like, whew, let alone like almost a year and a half. Holy moly. So the lady said, like, I know obviously it's a long wait time. If they find another, like, you know, psychologist or psychiatrist, then maybe they can get me in sooner, but I'm not going to bet on that. So yeah, I feel like I should provide an update. 7th of December 2023, I called my doctor to try and organize an appointment with a different clinic. I never heard back from them, so at this point the only appointment that I have is like a year and a half away. Hey guys, it's the 12th of May, I think. I thought I'd give a little update. I'm still waiting to have my appointment, but the good news is that instead of having to wait until April 2025, I got a call from the clinic and they moved my appointment forward like 6 months basically. Actually, I don't know if that's 6 months, but basically from April to September, the end of September 2024. So that's exciting. The number one thing that I noticed that I'm really leaning into now, that I used to beat myself up so much about, is these waves of energy that I have. It's like I can like tell, I can feel myself. My mood is like so good. I'm getting so much stuff done. Like you cannot stop me. I feel like I can take over the world. And then the next day or a few days later, or like I'll usually get one really good day, and then the next day I'm like, it's not as good, but it's still good. And then a few days after that, I can't do anything. Like, and then I'm comparing myself to how productive I was before, and I'm like, wow, this is really depressing. I'm seeing a female psychologist, and I don't even know what I'm going to do with this information. I just want to know. Like, I just want validation, one way or the other. So today's May, September, so we've got a few months to go. I'll see you then. Today's the day. A little bit nervous. I wore foundation and makeup today because I didn't want to go in like more natural and then get flushed and embarrassed or flustered and then my face goes red. Like if you're fair and you get like redness, you'll understand that if something embarrassing happens or you feel like too self-aware or something, then your face goes red and you can feel it going red, and it makes the issue so much worse. So I have makeup on so that I feel a little bit more protected. I printed up a little, I might put that in my bag actually, a little sheet of paper with why I think I might have it, history, that kind of thing, just because I didn't want to get there and then forget something. I have no idea how this is going to go, honestly. Like, I don't know if she's going to be like, nope. Like, it could so easily go either way, and I just have no clue what I'm in for. Apparently the appointments are only 45 minutes long, which is so quick. It's going to cost like $750, and then you get $250 back through Medicare, so $500. So it is actually like a total privilege to be able to do this, considering I'm not like convinced if I have it or not. I just really want to know because it's been on my mind so much lately since I've been thinking about it more. It's been a long wait. I checked the website today and there's an 18 to 24 month wait. still at this place. So anyway, we'll see. My appointment's at 1:15. It's 12:23. Wish me luck. Okay, I've just pulled over at some random park. First of all, she was really lovely, really just easy to talk to, and she said so many of the things that you're talking about and discussing and struggling with are symptoms of ADHD. But then you've also been able to maintain this work that you do and your social media, and you've been able to be like stick to that long term, which has been great for you. And she was really actually like really supportive of my business stuff, and it really felt like she believed in me, which was really nice, and was saying like, you know, once you network and you have people doing certain things for you, like a general manager or someone that like manages finances or stuff like that with Lounge Face, you could just grow to whatever size. And it was just interesting even just talking to someone about other stuff. She's like, so why have you kept at this even though you've struggled with it? Like what is the driving force for you? And I said, if I'm being honest, financially I enjoy business. I love earning money. And she was like, yeah, as you should. Like, she was great like that. And even with the being child free thing, she was so supportive of that. She's like, that's so like your thought, your reasonings are so, what did she say, very responsible and very clever. She was just basically saying it was great that I had come to that decision, and that, you know, she said having kids is hard, and like she basically validated every single reason I had not to, which is so, and she has 3 kids. It's so uncommon for women who have kids to say that. So that was really nice. But yeah, she's like, this is a really tricky one. She prescribed me dexamphetamines, and she said, I want to help like improve your quality of life. And it sounds like the number one issue you have is with consistency and motivation, and these are great for that. They're going to give you the focus. I also said I'm really indecisive, and she said these are going to help with your decision making. They're going to stop all that, like your brain going in different directions and you can just hone in and narrow down on one decision. You know, you're going to have the motivation. It also helps to, she said, improve your mood, but like in terms of self-belief and that kind of thing. She said, you know, you can take one day if you need to, that it's not something you have to stick to. It's not something that you have to wean off. They're not like addictive. She said you can take up to 3 a day or 4 a day, I think she even said. But she's like, start with 1, see how you go. And I just thought that's so, I was actually really concerned about medication because I've heard different things. So I asked her, if I don't have ADHD, like, are these going to do anything? And she said, if you have a slight increase in quality of life, like a slight one, then you might not have it, or you have really mild ADHD, and that would have had the same kind of effect on someone that didn't have ADHD. But she said for the people that have, you know, full-blown ADHD, the number one thing they say is it's life-changing. Like, it's day and night, the difference in their life. I don't think I would feel that way because I don't think it affects my life so dramatically day to day, and that's why I didn't know if I had it or not. So I'm really excited to try this because I feel like I've been going so long thinking I'm so flaky and I can't stick to anything, and I said, like, I have these spikes and I just drop down, like spikes of energy and then nothing, and it's been that way for so long. And so I think that will help. I honestly wasn't going into it to get medication because I didn't think I needed it, but then the more I was speaking about it, I'm like, actually, doesn't ADHD medication help with motivation? That's like my number one thing that I struggle with. Yeah, I'm just rambling now, but it was a good experience. I'm glad that I did it. I'm really keen to see how this medication goes, and I'll report back. I've got another appointment in 2 months for a 15-minute appointment just to see how it goes. Anyway, okay, goodbye. I'm about to take my first pill, and I'm just reading the medication notes. 5 milligram tablets for ADHD symptoms to improve concentration, organization, and focus. 1 tablet of dexamphetamine usually has effects lasting approx 4 hours. Start with a 5 milligram tablet in the morning for 2 to 4 days. Then increase to 1 tablet twice a day for another 2 to 4 days, then 3 times a day, morning, mid-morning, and early afternoon if needed. Not too late in the day so as not to impair sleep. If 1 tablet at a time helps a little but not enough, you're welcome to try 10 milligrams at a time, 2 tablets for the morning dose, and see if that is better than taking 1 tablet at a time. Possible side effects: problem with sleep, usually only a problem if taken too late in the day. Slightly increased anxiety, you may not necessarily experience this. Exacerbation of underlying heart conditions. Your appetite may decrease slightly. Please try to eat a healthy, regular diet if you find your weight is dropping. The beginning of a journey, day 1. Let's see how it goes. It's now been 2 hours and I don't feel any different. The only thing I have noticed is that my mouth is really dry, but apparently that's really normal. It's the end of day 1. Well, it's like 5:30. I didn't really notice anything at all, to be honest. Just a really dry mouth. But it's the first day. It's the second day. I had the pill at 7 a.m. and then only had my breakfast almost 2 hours later because I was just getting stuck into stuff. It's hard because I don't know if I'm like, I think from reading like Reddit threads, I expected it to be like such a dramatic before and after. But I was saying to Reese last night that like, I don't think I'm one of those people that is so dramatically affected by it. When I think about my life, if I do have ADHD, maybe the reason why, like she was saying, you know, you've been able to live a good life regardless. Like I had a good childhood, a relaxing, chill childhood. High school was a bit stressful, but that's when I first kind of noticed that I had any kind of symptoms, which was the procrastinating. And then I've worked for myself since being an adult. At home, quiet environment, my own boss. Just for being honest, like it's easy work. I'm not like a nurse. So it's like I haven't really had many instances in my life where I've been pushed into a corner. And so I'm wondering if that's why my symptoms aren't as pronounced as other people, because I'm not in a corporate job environment where I'm around people or deadlines that other people have set for me, or constantly in like a stimulating environment, or had like a really stressful upbringing or anything like that. Like it's been quite mellow. And so I guess I probably shouldn't have been expecting like a night or day change, because it wasn't that severe for me in the first place. And the stuff that I needed help with, which was like the executive function, I feel like today things that I've been putting off doing, I've gotten them done. I don't know if it's the confidence from this or if it's something else, but I feel like I'm more confident I'm just doing something rather than like thinking about it and then just put it on the back burner. I'm like, actually like, no, let's do this, let's do that. I had breakfast at 9 and I've only just eaten now. So it's almost like 5 hours, I think, or 5 and a bit hours. And it definitely does suppress your appetite. I could feel in my body that I needed to eat. Like you get like kind of like shaky and jittery. I didn't feel hungry. Like my stomach wasn't growling or anything, but my body, I could tell, needed food. I've been recording so much footage day to day, but I'm probably going to end up cutting a lot of it out and just do like bigger summaries. It's funny, that first day that I took it, I didn't really feel any different. And then the second day I felt a little bit better. And then at the moment I'm at the stage where I'm taking one in the morning and then one in the afternoon. But I do feel just things that is easier for me to do. I'm finding that I'm looking for the next thing to do. I will get something done, cross it off my to-do list, and then look for the next thing to do. And then once I've done that, I'll cross it off and then I'll look for the next thing to do. And I've been really good with remembering things that I've got to do and then instantly writing them down. And that's what I read on Reddit as well. A lot of people were thinking like, you take medication and then it's motivation in terms of it like pushes you to do it. It like forces you into it. It does the driving of the car for you. Think of it like an automatic car that you get in and it takes you where you need to go. But people are saying it's not like that. It gives you the energy, it puts you in the right mind frame to do it. So instead of like looking at the car and thinking, oh, I've got to go and get fuel and then I've got to go clean my car and I need to get it serviced and I'm just going to stay home, I'll just deal with it another day. It's like, okay, I need to get this done today. I'm going to go there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get that done. But you still have to go and do those things. You still have to get in the car. Like, you have to take the step. The medication just helps you take the steps, makes taking the steps easier and less daunting and makes you overthink them less perhaps. So with me like thinking, reminding myself, okay, I've got to do this, and then putting it in my reminders notes instantly means that I'm not going to forget and I'm going to do it because I have the energy to do it. Like I've been getting out of my room, my little office at like 6 p.m. the last few nights because I've just been getting so much stuff done. But I don't feel burnt out afterwards. My cravings for like sweet food have gone down a lot. I haven't been having much at all, and tiny little bits if I did feel like it. All of this talk, all these videos that I've been doing and how much I've been looking into the whole ADHD thing and conversations I've been having with Reese really makes me realize that I think I'm a really assertive person in most cases. I've taken pride in that. I take pride in that. But I don't think I advocate for myself. I don't advocate for myself. I never want to put people out at my expense. Overly polite, overly considerate, to the point of like putting other people first sometimes. Imposter syndrome with a lot of stuff that I've done in terms of advocating for myself is kind of like, I don't think that I deserve what I have or that I'm good enough for it. Whereas if I was
confident and I advocated for myself. It's like, no, I have worked hard. I deserve this. Why wouldn't I deserve it? I deserve it just as much as everyone else does. Because I have this really rigid idea of who I am. And I've always thought that person was put together, on top of things, perfectionist, a bit of a control freak. And then the whole ADHD thing came through. And because it's like I'm trying to understand myself as being the opposite to what I actually am, or what I thought I was. I think I can be both things at once, but my brain's not letting me do it. I know I can be both things at once, but my brain's not letting me go there. I can be put together and orderly and in control and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying you're not put together if you don't have ADHD, but I'll explain that in a second, if you do have ADHD. But then there's this other side, which is unmotivated, unorganized, procrastinator, forgetful, unfocused, not as disciplined. So all of these things that I thought that I was over this side, it's like these two ends of the spectrum, and my brain's like, you can't be both, you've got to pick one. It ties back into when I was speaking to Reese about, like, when I didn't want to tell Reese about this journey that I'm going on, because I can't even comprehend it. I'm like having to undo all these thoughts that I've had about myself for so long. Like, how can I expect anyone else to do that? I said to him last night, I genuinely feel that when I tell you all these stories about what the medication's doing, or this whole journey, that you're probably just like placating me and, tapping me on the back and being like, yeah, I'm sure it's the medication. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I have this in my head that he doesn't believe that I have it, but is just kind of like going along for the ride. And he said, you've really got to work on that, because in no way, shape or form have I ever thought that. Like, I want you to go on this journey, but like, you believe that so deeply that it doesn't really matter what I say, because you're going to come back to that conclusion anyway. And that's why I didn't advocate for myself with a psychiatrist. I'm like, I don't know if I have it. I don't know. How could I have it? It's like, shut up. Like, stand up for yourself. I went in there assuming that she's going to think I'm a phony or something, and I'm just like trying to get like a cool trending label or something. Again, it's me overthinking things too much. It really annoys me. I wish I had this realization earlier, because I'm disappointed in myself. I have a lump in my throat. It's really frustrating. I wish I had gone into that appointment being like, I'm confident that this is the case. This is who I am. Yes, I've managed to be successful throughout my life and loosely stick to what I'm doing, but maybe I'm just really high functioning, and maybe this has been easier for me because I have had a great environment growing up and a quiet environment in my adult life, made everything work around me because I have the flexibility to do so, because I work for myself. Like, I've been looking in so much more into the high functioning ADHD, and it's like every single person that comments, it's me, and all of us seem to feel like imposters. And even sometimes doctors won't prescribe medication because it's like, oh, you're doing okay, like, you don't need this. Even this morning, today's Saturday, and I took my medication in the morning at like 7. I was like, I feel like doing my makeup. Normally I can't be stuffed. Why would I bother doing my makeup? Like, I'm not going anywhere fancy. I'm not going or doing anything. The only plans we had was to take Mia for a walk. Like, don't need makeup for that. And this isn't even like, that much makeup, but it's more than I would normally wear. But the difference before is I'm thinking about all the things. This is going to take energy. Is the energy that it's going to take worth it? Are people going to see me for more than a minute? Can I be bothered? Then I have to remove it at the end of the day, and I can't be bothered doing that. Whereas today, do I want to wear makeup? Yeah. Okay, I want to put on makeup. Those steps are gone. And even me, I was like, I just want to get out of the house. I just want to do something. I don't know what I want to do. I just feel like doing something, and not in a jittery way. I'm chill. I'm calm. It's made no change to my like physical like energy levels. Mentally, I just had the capacity for it, instead of being like, oh, like, I'm happy to stay home. It's comfortable. Like, why wouldn't I stay home and I've got everything I need here? It's like, we can go and do something. I literally said, I wish it was one of those days where we had a project and we needed to go to the shops and get stuff and put it together and go for a drive and get some food on the way. We ended up going into town and having lunch with memes, and it was nice just being, as Bree said, it's like, it's nice being around like people, like not the actual people part, but like, and I was like, partaking in society. I was like, yeah, partaking in society. It's like a lump at the back of my throat. I'm not sad, I just, maybe like a vulnerability. I haven't gone there before. I've always known I had self-worth issues and I never feel good enough. Like, that's like human experience for most people. I don't think I've realized how much it actually runs as deep as it runs until this. Yeah, I just wish I kind of fought for myself more, believed in myself more. I wish the appointment that I have with my psychiatrist in November was longer. 15 minutes. Probably just gonna ask me, how's the medication? I want to say to her, all that stuff I just said to you, but I don't have the time. I should have advocated for myself more in that appointment. I have this feeling in the back of my mind that like you're thinking that there's no way I have it, so like I don't want to embarrass myself by saying I think I have this, even though I'm pretty sure I will do. And I also want to know if my childhood stuff has any impact in, and like the way I live my life now has any impact in the severity, or if I'm just high functioning or whatever. I want to get to the point where I can confidently speak about myself or anything to do with me as fact and not have this padding around it, which is like disclaimers and outs where like, oh, if I say something, then I have put in like a clause there that means that if I have been proven wrong or whatever, that I can say, oh yeah, no, but I knew that and I said that. Like there's just no room for me to ever mess up or embarrass myself. Like I want to get past that. I don't know myself so well and I'm so confident in that people can say or assume or imply anything about me and it's not going to shake me as much as it obviously does. This is a journey, isn't it? Journey of self-discovery. Did not think I'd be on this. I wanted to film a little update because I was at my mum's house this week for the whole week while Reese underwent his liver transplant workup, which is basically just to see if he... Anyway, that's unrelated to the video. Course. I have kept mum in the loop about this whole ADHD thing. I remember when I first mentioned to her, even floated the idea, we were in the car driving to my brother's house and Reese was in the car. I don't remember how I brought it up, but I said something like, I must have posed a question to her thinking like, do you think I could have ADHD or something? Because I remember her saying like, no, like, you know, a very quick response. And that might have, and this is no shade to mum, as I said to her, like if my sister came to me and said, do you think I have ADHD and do you think my sister has it? I'd be like, probably not. I moved out of home so long ago and I wasn't really affected by what I'm affected by now back then. And the only person that can really get an idea of how you are day to day is the person that lives with you full time, which is Reese. And then more obviously yourself, because you can be really good at like masking things and finding ways to adapt to deal with the things that you struggle with. And so I think this is going to be a little bit of a long-winded thing, so sorry if this is going to be boring, but I think it's important to this whole video, and this video is kind of like a journal for me anyway, so I'm just going to keep it in. But I think that experience kind of set the precedent for me going forward, talking to people about it. And the only person I've really told is Reese and my mum, like directly, but I haven't told anyone else in my life. I don't plan to, purely because I think most people would have the same response as my mum did, because that's kind of the response that I had myself when I was presented with the idea that I could have ADHD. Anyway, so I must have had a couple of conversations about it over time, and I've been talking to her about it, and I said, you know, I've got a psychiatrist appointment. I just want to speak to someone and get a better idea of if it's something that I am likely affected with or not. She's really supportive. You know, she wasn't like laughing at me or saying, you know, she would never do that. She's been open to everything since I've been talking to her about it. And so after my appointment with a psychiatrist, I messaged her and I said, this is what happened. Like, she's not sure if I have it or not, but I'm going to try medication and see how it goes. She's like, it's great, you know, see how it goes. It's great that you were able to speak to someone and like get to the bottom of it, you know, for your sake. Anyway, so I was at her house this week and I wasn't going to bring it up because it's been a bit of a journey for me. I'm still like, you know, early days with the medication, still figuring out what works and how it affects me and blah, blah, blah. And then she brought up the psychiatry appointment and how it was interesting. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll talk about it. And because of these videos that I've been doing, I've been kind of talking it through myself and coming to conclusions and things. And it's all been really like eye-opening, and with Reese as well. And I basically just like give her the full spiel, which is essentially all of the things in this video that I've been talking about. And a really good example between like how an ADHD brain works and a neurotypical brain is the executive dysfunction. And I've heard people talk about online, like there's like an analogy of spoons. Everyone's given a certain amount of spoons each day, but someone with ADHD or like a mental illness or something either uses their spoons in the wrong way. Like you might use majority of your spoons to hyper focus on one task that you're either not meant to be focusing on, so you're wasting them on something that you shouldn't be wasting them on, or because it takes so much more energy to do a simple task, you're using all your spoons up on a task that a neurotypical person would use like 1 or 2 spoons on, because their brain just works differently. And so then you're in a deficit, and then you crash, and then you burn out like I've been burning out. And so with the executive dysfunction,
It isn't just like, oh, can't be bothered putting my washing away after it's cleaned. That's probably a bad example because everyone feels that way. It's like a normal thing, it's a human experience to not want to do things sometimes. But I told her the example of and there's one in my closet right now. I don't think you can see it, but I often have a bag of, because I get sent clothes through what I do for, YouTube and stuff. Brands will send me clothes and a lot of them I'll keep, some of them I won't. And there's this kind of situation that I have now, which is that I've got a bag of clothes that has been sitting in my closet for like probably like a month now. It's been, sometimes they're there for like 3 months, and Reese is just so patient with me. I always thank him after I end up moving them. A bag of clothes sitting on the floor for like 3 months, say. And the reason, like, you might just think, just put the clothes away. Like, that's all you have to do is put the clothes away. But it's not that. It's the fact that I've got to make room for those clothes. So that's one task that requires spoons or energy. To make room for those clothes, I have to get rid of other clothes. That's task number 2, and that's energy, and that's spoons. Now, I've made room, but now I've got clothes that I need to get rid of somehow. What do I do with those? That's another task. 4, okay, so now I'm decided I'm going to have to donate the clothes. That's another task. 5, where am I going to donate them? Am I going to give them to my friends or family? Am I going to donate them to an op shop? That's another decision to make. Okay, if I choose to give them to my family, then I'm going to have to bring them with me next time I go to Perth. So I have to put them in a bag, bring them in my boot, make sure I give them to my family. Or if I take them to an op shop, I'm going to have to find an op shop that will take them, and I'm going to drive there, and I'm going to remember to take them out of my car sometime. And then I end up having the clothes in my car for an extra month or 2 because I don't know, some reason that's hard for me to go to an op shop. I think I overthink it. I'm like, oh my God, are they going to see me putting clothes in? Like, I don't want to like overload them if they've already got a lot of clothes, and the clothes are like great clothes. And so then we go backtrack all those steps and we're back at square one. Okay, I've got this bag of clothes. I've made space. Now I can put the clothes away, and now I can get rid of everything. That's how long it takes me to do one simple task. That's why I think the medication, like say for example today, I took 2 pills in the morning for the first time, 10 milligrams. And I was like, how's this gonna go? Wasn't jittery, nothing, just fine, the same. Took one a few hours later, and then took another one a few hours later. So taking 4 today, which is my max. I did feel a little bit like jittery in my legs, but I think that's because I hadn't eaten, because I don't feel like eating as much when I'm on this medication. My mouth is really dry, so any food, like right now it's so dry, any food just sounds dry to me, and I have to drink so much water, and then I'm peeing a lot, and I have like an anxiety around, especially when we're in Perth this last week, not finding a toilet, needing to go to the toilet, so it's just been a bit of an issue. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dexamphetamine basically works by increasing dopamine production in your brain, and then I think it also tells the brain to hold on to that dopamine for longer. So for example, again, the spoons thing, an ADHD brain might wake up and it might take a lot of dopamine just to get ready in the morning, have a shower, brush their teeth, get dressed, put their stuff away, get organized. And then they're working with a decreased amount of dopamine for the rest of the day. So it's so hard to do things that are so easy to do, like staying focused, getting your work completed, studying, cleaning your house. Or some like high functioning people with ADHD, they will excel at work. They'll use all their spoons at work. And then when they get home, they have no spoons left and their house is a mess. So that professionally, everyone's like, wow, you do so well, as if you would have ADHD. But then when they get home, like their life's a mess because they can't do both. Whereas neurotypical people, generally it's still gonna be hard for them to do really well at work and then also maintain a good house. Like Reese, he slogs away at work all day, burning so many calories, sweating, just physical labor all day, gets home from work. Well, he used to, not at the moment, obviously he's sick, but used to go to the gym and then used to come home, make dinner with me, do his washing, get things done. I never understood. I'm like, how? I'll do one day of like filming content, which is like obviously not a physically hard job, and the next day I'm burnt out. And that's why I was always so hard on myself, because I'm like, literally, why is it so hard for me to function? Because I'm not doing much. Like what I'm doing is not hard. Mentally it's hard in terms of like negative comments and stuff, but like physically energy that I'm producing, it shouldn't be this hard. So what the medication does is increases your dopamine. So it basically takes from, like, a neurotypical person is here, it takes someone with ADHD from here to there, which is why when I first started taking the medication, I thought I didn't have ADHD, because I was like, oh, well, I'm not feeling it, obviously. I don't feel different. Like, I guess I just don't have it then. But if I was here already and I'm taking this medication, I'd be up here. I'd be getting the symptoms of people that are like taking it when they don't have ADHD, which is like jittery, anxious, like hyper focused, like feeling like euphoria almost. And of course, a lot of people with ADHD, when they take medication, for them it feels like night and day. But I think they're the ones that struggle with it a lot more than me, that have these like constant voices and noises and just can't focus. Like, I'm not affected in that way at all. I think, again, that's because of my environment and how non-stimulating it is by design and has always been. So I was like, I can take the maximum medication that I'm taking right now and I don't feel that different at all, in terms of like I'm getting stuff done, like it's having a good impact on my life, but I'm not going like, and I'm not like jittery and nervous and anxious and hyper focusing in the wrong direction or whatever. Like, it's obviously there was something there that it's helping with, otherwise I'd be going nuts. So I explained that all to Mum, and I think that was really insightful, like explain to her all the different ways that it affects me. So for example, and I said to her as well, you know, how I've said here, that I wish I was more assertive with the psychiatrist, because it's almost like I expected her to look at me and laugh at me and say like, honey, you don't have ADHD, like, it's okay, like, tap me on the back, because I felt like an imposter, basically, which I've struggled with my whole life, that whole imposter syndrome thing. I've just lost my train of thought, but I emailed the clinic and asked if there's any way I could extend my appointment. And I said in the email, like, I'm almost certain, like, it, you know, should be too busy, but if there's any chance, I thought I'd try. And they managed to turn it to 15 minutes to 30 minutes on the same day, just a little bit later, which is amazing. I'm so surprised, because I want to say all this stuff to her. Like, I want to be able to discuss these things that I've realised afterwards that I didn't think I'd have enough time to mention in the 15-minute appointment. That's what I was going to say. As the psychiatrist said, she's like, you know, you struggle with all these things that sound like ADHD. I think she was struggling with the fact that I've achieved so much, but she said herself, how much more could you have achieved if you weren't struggling with these things? And for example, these are made up numbers. I'm not going to say the real number. When I was the peak of my YouTube, if I made, say, $10,000 a month from ads on my YouTube videos, like not even sponsored ads, just because I was getting so many views, you know, I made a lot just from ads. So say if I made $10,000 a month and I only uploaded once a week, because I could never stick to a consistent schedule or routine, because I burnt out all the time. Imagine if I didn't have that issue and I was uploading 3 times a week, which a lot of people, everyone wanted me to do, because it was at the peak of my popularity, people wanted more content. I'd be making $30,000 a month, and times that by 12, that's a lot of extra money I could have been making, could have been putting towards my future, could have been doing this, I could have been doing, like, that's just like one tiny example. Anyway, so I was talking about this with Mum, and I think that was probably interesting for her to hear more in depth about how it actually affects me, rather than just like, because when you say at the surface level, it is what it is, but you really need to give examples and explain it, and that's why it's just so exhausting, and I haven't been wanting to do it. Something I've never been able to understand, which Mum actually connected the dots for me, which is like, it was so obvious until now, is why it's only hit me as I've gotten into my 30s. And I don't know if this is the same for other women. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but I don't know if it is something like neurological that changes when you get into your 30s, like hormones change or something, I don't even know. But she's like, do you think the reason why you have only really been affected in the last few years is because you've got so much more on your plate now? I was like, she's like, when you were in high school, all you were doing was going to school and doing assignments. Those are really the only responsibilities you had. And even then, you'd leave it, you know, I said, like, you know, leave everything to the absolute last minute. Every single time, it was always left to the last minute. But I performed well, so like, it wasn't a handicap for me. It didn't impact my education or anything, because I still managed to pull it off, thank God. And then I worked like a retail job for a couple of years, and then I basically went into YouTube and I became my own boss. And I didn't have deadlines. I didn't have anyone pushing me against a wall. I, to my own detriment, could be as lazy as I wanted to be, and the only person that would suffer was me. And so that was the case for most of my life, basically, online. Like, I remember, like, I'd have just days where I just wouldn't do anything. I would just watch TV. I had nothing else to do. I would just watch TV. And I always felt so guilty. It never felt good. It was always so guilty. But it's just like, again, it's almost embarrassing because it's like literally all I had to do was film videos. That is like the easiest thing, and that isn't lost on me. I'm not trying to say like, oh my God, it's so hard to be me. I know. That's why I was upset in the first video, because I'm like, I've been so hard on myself, thinking I'm just like the worst person that's like so lazy. But there's obviously more to it. Not as simple as that, maybe. And then the biggest switch with me, I always let all my work emails just pile up. And I had that little badge, and it used to stress me out. I used to hate it. I used to just again, procrastinating doing tasks that I needed to do. And then something in my brain flipped, and I realized that when I did the hardest task first, when I had the most energy, when I had all my spoons, when I had more dopamine sitting in my brain, obviously, completing that task first, when I had the energy to do so, gave me a dopamine kick. It was like, oh yes, like satisfying, good. And then I took that little bit of dopamine and tackled the next task, which was easier. And because it was easier, I did it faster, which my brain liked. And then I just went down the bottom of the list until I got to the easiest things, which were just getting done like that. And then you get the dopamine rush of completing all your tasks, the dopamine rush of finishing each task, and the dopamine rush of getting on top of things and not having this stupid little badge saying, you have this many emails. And that, I've never gone back since. I'm so on top of everything, and I have to be, otherwise it stresses me out now. And that was also one of the early reasons why I didn't know if I had ADHD, because I'm like, well, I was able to like stop procrastinating in that way. But then I realized it's because, yeah, I was able to make it rewarding for my brain and turn it into something that my brain could like find satisfying rather than something that I had to do. It's like, no, I feel better after this. It feels better to get it done than it does to let it sit. I have no saliva in my mouth right now. Horrible, I hate it. Yeah, so then it wasn't until the loungewear brand, which wasn't motivating enough for me to keep at it. I wasn't excited enough about it. I loved the beginning of it, the designing, the starting of it. That's what I love. That's what my brain goes nuts for, that like creativity or the entrepreneurial stuff. Like, how can I fix this problem? How can I make it look cool? How can I market it? You know, how can I make it different? What can I call it? That stuff is like bread and butter for my brain. I love it. And so with loungewear, that was so much fun. And then the reality of it being a business that I had to maintain, and it's not sexy, it's not fun, it's not like appealing in that. It's sexy, as in like sexy to my brain, not like physically actually sexy. It just wasn't. I couldn't stay interested in it enough to keep it going. And now that I have lounge face, and I genuinely love it, and I find it challenging every day in a good way and exciting, and it's the right balance for my brain, which is why I've stuck at it, and I will stick at it, because it's exactly what I needed. A project, a business. Cosmetics is very different than apparel, and even Sunsmock, which is apparel but like on a bite size compared to what loungewear was. And so now that I have loungewear, which keeps me so busy, and then I've got my social media stuff in terms of like actual sponsored posts and uploading on social media, maintaining all that, maintaining lounge face, doing Sunsmock, and then also just like my actual life, keeping the house tidy, keeping my space tidy, staying on top of Mia's stuff. She's a whole handful. That stresses me out. All the health issues and her anxiety. And then of course now Reese, who is sick and will eventually be awaiting a liver transplant, and then what that means. Like, there's just so much that I'm thinking all the time, every day. And that is why I think I'm at capacity. My brain has been at capacity, and that's why all these symptoms are like showing up now, because I've never been at a point in my life until now where I feel kind of up against a wall or spread really thin. And so my brain doesn't have enough of what it needs to get everything done. It can do a lot of these things, like it can do a lot of things adequately or like at the bare minimum, but it can't sustain it. And it can't do them all really, really, really well without burnout, which is why I can get like one really good day in for like social media or something that I burn out, and then I have to spend the next day like focusing on lounge face, and then I need a break, and then it's like, it just made so much sense. And so these are things that I need to talk to the psychiatrist about to see what she thinks. I definitely think I've got it now. I was so doubtful about it before. At the start of this video, I've deleted so much footage of me being like, do I have it? Do I have it? I don't know if I have it. It's not making me feel like I want to film 10 videos today. It makes it easier if I decide to film 10 videos today to be able to execute those tasks. I'm still going to be tired at the end of the day, obviously. It's not going to make me like superhuman or something, but it just makes each thing easier and takes away a lot of those decisions that I've got. Like, it makes, those decisions are still there. Like, you know, I've got to take this and do that and do that and do that and do that. But they're not, I'm not weighed down by them. It's easier for me to just start doing it. It's really hard for me to explain because it's like, it's not an obvious change, but it is obvious in the ways that I need it to be obvious. That makes sense. My appointment's on like the 28th. Or 26th or something. When I speak to her and tell her, when I first came in, I was like, I don't know if I have it. But honestly, that was probably out of fear of judgment from you, thinking like there's no way she has it and blah, blah, blah. But like since talking about it a lot more and thinking about it and medication, like I'm almost certain that I have it. And I just wanted to share with you the reasons why I'm more certain now and see if you can make it more clear diagnosis based on that information, essentially. We'll see how this goes. I didn't plan on coming back here so soon, but I just can't believe this medication. Like, so I think I figured out what works for me, which is two pills in the morning, 10 milligrams in the morning, and then a few hours later 5 milligrams, and then a few hours later 5 milligrams. So that's my maximum dose. Oh my god, I just get so much done. I filmed so much content. I'm about to edit it. I just took off my makeup early. I replied to all of my emails. I've just made veggie sticks and dip, and I want to do more. Like, I'm not tired. It's just amazing. Reese and I were talking the other day about something he's noticed with me is that like my train of thought. So I'll start a conversation and then I'll go off in the complete opposite direction because I'm just distracted by something, and then I'll abandon that train of thought halfway through and then go back to the other one, and it's like whiplash. Like, he doesn't know what I'm talking about. It makes sense to me because I just have to speak when everything comes into my head, which is why whenever he says something and I don't hear it, my immediate response is what? Oh, pardon? Even though if I waited 2 seconds, I would hear him. It's just like my brain just speaks before it thinks, which would also explain my fast speaking. Oh my god, this is so garlicky. 2% garlic puree. It's all I can smell. The decreased appetite is definitely a thing. That's something that I'm consciously trying to do, is like a lot of foods are really, really unappealing. Honestly, anything kind of unhealthy except fries doesn't appeal to me at all. I need food like this, which is amazing because it's healthier and I wouldn't normally crave something like this, but moist, cold, juicy food because of the dry mouth. You literally do not feel hungry. It's shocking. And apparently it also makes your metabolism work faster. So apparently they prescribe it to people who have binge eating disorder. No, binge eating? Yeah, binge eating. Where you like have so much food noise and you can't stop eating because it literally turns it completely off, which is really dangerous because then you can lose a lot of weight and you can become malnourished and get so many, like, I'm trying to actively prevent that by having like high protein yogurts, eating even though I'm not hungry, remembering to eat. If you don't eat, you get really, really angry and irritable at the end of the day because the drugs have worn off and your body's like, oh wait, I'm actually starving. I would not take that medication before a workout. I think I would have a heart attack. My heart, without that medication, my heart rate when I was doing a spin class it reached 193. I do have a high resting heart rate, but that's the next level. I would literally probably pass out if I worked out on decks. But then, because food's been so unappealing, it's so depressing because everything's unappealing. You're like, I don't want to eat any of this, but you know that you need to. And you had like shakes and stuff, but you need food. And so that day when I hadn't had as much of the medication, I had a pizza for dinner and I said to Reese, oh my God, it is so nice to want to eat this. It's so nice to enjoy food. Just a little tidbit. I just got back from a workout. It's only 7 a.m. and I was thinking about how I'm going to do all this stuff today. I'm going to do this, and how I had the energy and like motivation to do it. And that is what people say they get from working out if they don't want to take ADHD medication. People are saying exercise is the best way. And people always speak about the dopamine rush from exercise. And I've never really understood that. I'm like, maybe I'm not working out hard enough. Like, why don't I feel this big shift in my energy? Why isn't it this like overwhelming feeling of euphoria or joy or this burst of energy? And I don't think it is that, unless like my body's just wired differently or something. But is it just that? Is dopamine literally just having the motivation or the mental capacity? I'm recording a video, memes just came out. Hi memes. Hello memes. Hello memes. I'll be out in a second. Is it just having the mental capacity to do things? Like, it makes things easier because you're motivated and you're in a good mood and you're like feeling energetic. because the exercise has released dopamine. Like, is that literally what it is? Have I been misreading it or like misunderstanding this whole time? Thinking it was something that's like, I feel amazing, when literally it's just, oh great, like let's do all this stuff today because I have energy and I feel like it and I want to. Interesting. I have not been feeling good today. I have gotten what I need to get done, but I have tried to go above and beyond that because I've been capable of doing that like the last few weeks. Started filming a video, stopped, couldn't do it. Started editing and watching back a video that I've basically 90% finished. Couldn't do that. All the things that I normally do, I'm just struggling to do. And like, this is what it felt like before I started taking my medication, like the day after I had a really productive day. And I was like, what could this be? And then I remember in a few of the ADHD subreddits, I've seen people talk about their period with ADHD or their period with medication, and how during your luteal phase, your medication basically doesn't really do anything. And I've noticed that today. Like, people actually skip their medication during their luteal phase because it's basically just a waste of medication. I'm taking 15 milligrams today and I don't feel any different. I just feel sluggish and lethargic and nothing. I'm going to the post office now because I've got a parcel, which is exciting, and that's the only thing that's giving me like a little bit of excitement today. And today is the 25th. I'm meant to get my period in basically like 5 or 6 days, I think. I think that does mean that it's then my luteal phase, right? I read an article about how certain women like plan their lives around their cycles, like an ADHD article. And they basically, like, during these phases, they don't put it on their calendar, they keep their clients to a minimum, they take it easy, they don't take on too much work. And I think that's going to be the case for me. I'm going to have to like put a little note in my calendar from now on to say, like, this is coming up. Don't overload yourself. It's just so good that I've gotten so much done the past few weeks. Like, above and beyond what I needed to do, that I'm fine to just take it easy. So I'm just learning every single day. Fun lessons. And I cancelled my workout this morning, which I never normally do. I had my alarm on really early in the morning. I kept checking my phone. I was like, I just don't feel like doing this today. I don't want to do it today. And yeah, that all makes sense now. Everything is piecing together. I just wanted to come on and say, I love this medication. I took it later this morning. I hate the dry mouth, so sorry about the mouth sounds. So this morning, before I took it, I was just like, fine, but just how I've always felt, which is, how can I explain it? Think of it like a slow walk. I'm slowly walking somewhere, and then when I take the medication, it's like I start skipping, and not because I'm like, zzz, I just feel good. I feel recharged, like I want to do stuff. Whereas before, I was like, I don't want to really do anything. I'm just doing things I know I have to do. I'm so excited to see the psychiatrist in a month. It's funny, when I started the medication, I was like, I don't think it's going to be a night and day thing. She said that the people that take the medication, they have this like night and day feeling. I still haven't noticed like voices quieting, because I don't have those voices, and I spoke about that earlier. But it really has been night and day for me in terms of productivity and just my confidence in making decisions and just wanting to do stuff. Like, it's literally is night and day with my attitude towards life and all the things that I have to do. It just doesn't make anything, I don't feel like I have to do anything or I have to build myself up to it. It's like, I just do it because I can and I feel like it. And it's funny that I was like, I don't know, I want to take medication. I don't think I need it. I just didn't believe in myself in terms of, I was underplaying it, everything, because now I realize how different it could have been. This is what people say when they take medication. It's like, oh my God, if I had this, like, if I had this 10 years ago, imagine how much more I would have done. It's not enough to like make me sad because I've still achieved so much and I'm so proud of myself. Why is my voice breaking so much recently? But it's just that little thing in the back of your mind. It's like, what more could you have done? What more could you have achieved? At least I'm on it now. I think it was last week I came on here and said that my medication basically does nothing during the week of my period. No, the luteal phase, which is the week before. I said to Reese, like, I've been looking into Reddit. Reddit has been a godsend. Like, it makes you feel like you're not the only person going through anything at any given time. So like last week and probably a few days before that, I just want to like drop everything and run away. I am hard on myself, pessimistic, irritable, just gloomy. I find that I'm like window shopping online a lot because it's the only thing that gives me like a bit of excitement. My pills just aren't doing anything, and I'm too scared to change any dosages until I speak to my psychiatrist, which is in a month. When I see her is when I'm due to get my period again. Filmed a YouTube video about lounge face being really vulnerable. Now, I don't know if I'm going to post it now because I filmed it when I was in the depths of whatever's going on mentally, I've had all these thoughts like, I need to get out of here, like I need to change what I'm doing, I want to do something else. But then like basically just my brain is in constant the grass is greener everywhere else mode, which is hilarious because I genuinely love my life every other day, and I think I'm so lucky to be in the position that I am because I am. But my brain's like, this sucks. Everything about this sucks. And I was reading Reddit threads about it, and people were saying it makes someone quit their job every single day when they love their job. And some people were saying, like, I've quit my job and I regretted it as soon as I got out of the funk. And, like, I know it's a funk. And I'm like, wow, am I just noticing this now? Like, has this always been as intense as it's felt this particular period and, like, probably the last one? Or am I just, like, really critical now because I'm, like, looking for things more than I ever have been before? Some people said that the hormonal birth control was really good for them because it evens out that, like, I feel like I'm out of commission for, like, 2 weeks of the month, which is depressing because if it's going to be the week before my period and the week during, I don't know what it's like during my period yet, we'll see, but obviously you're just tired in general during your period. And maybe increasing my dosage will help if my doctor thinks it's a good idea. Hopefully she does, because I've been looking more and more into it and it seems like it's a legitimate thing. So I'm like, you know, that would make sense then. My taking the hormonal birth control means that my levels are consistently, like, they're maintained throughout the month. I would skip my period and I would just go. And when I was on Yazflex probably 6 years ago, I had no issues on it, and I went off it back then because I was like, I want to see how different I feel. Like, I had all these, you know how people plant seeds, like, oh, it's not good to be on hormonal birth control for long periods of time and blah blah blah. That's all BS, given you're not like prone to blood clots and you don't have a history of certain things that can be worsened with thing. But I've got experience on that pill. It was great. My skin was amazing. I had no issues at all, literally none. I didn't feel any different after I stopped taking it. But then I read stuff now and it's like, you're 6 times more likely to develop depression if you take hormonal birth oral contraceptives, I should be saying. Disclaimer, oral contraceptives. I've never taken an IUD or Mirena, and honestly I don't want to. I've heard so many horror stories from my friends that I just don't even want to go there. I'd rather just push through, like intense bleeding, like psychosis, like really bad moods. The next thing I read, someone's like, my life improved tenfold after going back on the pill and taking ADHD medication. So I was like, I don't know what to do. I just feel like it's so unfair. It's not fair that I have to spend like a week or two just feeling like I'm pushing myself to do the bare minimum. It's not, and the productivity, if that drops, it's okay. You know, I can deal with that because I have been so productive during the weeks that I'm not taking the medication. So when I am taking the medication, it's the mental state. Yeah, everything just feels gloomy. It's like I feel just so vulnerable and insecure, and I hate that. So anyway, I just want to do a little update. Again, I still have to speak to my psychiatrist in 20 days. This too shall pass, hey? At least I've told Reese about it. I've said like so many times, I just want to go into a room, close all the doors, the windows, the blinds, turn the lights off and just rot. I don't know if it was always like this. I don't think it was, but it's probably just because I'm paying so much more attention to it now. I'm so sorry for the nature of this rant. Goodbye. Oh, guys, it's me again. I know. I'll try and keep this one short. Ree's really struggling with those like PMS symptoms. I only got my period today. Yeah, woo. But yesterday I laid on the couch and I just said to Reese, oh, like I was depleted and I don't know what it was from, if it's from like having more energy with the medication. So I feel like, and I'm probably not eating as much as I need to be eating during the day, even though I'm trying. Also just having my hormones out of whack, so everything could kind of just coming at once and like all these things just depleting me of everything. When I was talking about it, I was like, I think I'm mentally overwhelmed. Like I had some videos on TikTok that were getting traction, so lots of comments, lots of people answering questions that I had asked on TikTok about Lounge Face and the brand, getting messages. And when I get lots of feedback from people, I get really overwhelmed and I can't do it. Like if I ever launch a product, like Lounge Face product or anything, I just have to turn my, like I don't turn my phone off, but I turn it on silent and I throw it into a different room and I just do not think about what's going on. It's so overwhelming, I can't deal. But anyway, all of this to say that it makes me think. I actually don't know. Like I've always known that I like a really chilled life and it's all coming to me now. Why? Because the only way I relax from being overstimulated is from being understimulated and having no noise, a dark room, no stressful things occurring in that moment, just switching my brain off. No wonder I've been getting these symptoms from ADHD when I'm pushed up against a wall and I have so much going on that I can't just switch off anymore like I used to. This is why I don't want kids. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if I'm stressed as it is and Lounge Face is still in its like infancy, how would I cope with it being any bigger. This is the predicament I find myself in. I need to be my own boss. I need to be creative. I need to be in control. I need to be able to work from home. So small business is like the best thing for that. Like, I love business. I love it. But how much can I handle before it becomes detrimental to my general well-being? Watch this space. Let's see how I feel in a week when my uterus is not self-destructing. Okay, goodbye. One of the real downsides of this medication is its effect on your appetite. It's worse some days. Like, I almost have been thinking the past few days, oh, maybe it's not as, shush. Oh, my food's ready. I've been thinking the past few days, oh, like maybe my appetite's coming back after being on the medication for like almost 2 months-ish. No. This morning, I had my normal breakfast shake. I took my pills, all good. At lunch, I was like, oh, I don't really feel... Granted, the past few days, actually, I have been eating quite a lot more than I had been previously on the medication. So maybe I'm just going from one side to the other. But at lunch, I was like, oh, I don't feel like anything. And there's no food in the house. I need to do a click and collect shop or something. And I was like, I need to eat something. So I had another shake. Oh, that's so depressing. I never do that. 2 liquid meals. Oh, that's not good. It's now 6:30 and I'm hungry, but absolutely everything is repulsive. I'm making like a fake chicken, like a, vegetarian schnitzel burger, which normally I love. And that was what I was planning on eating all day. Every single time I go to get an ingredient like a tomato or lettuce or cheese, I'm like, oh, gross, lettuce, gross, cheese, ugh, mayo. I'm so annoying. I said to Mia, like, I'm so annoying that I snitz, because she's just watching me, judging me. Oh. I've just been staring at it. It's really the worst it's been. I don't think it's been this bad before. Once I have it, it'll be yummy. I need a good bite to start with. Good start, okay? That's what I was hoping. The brain's like, ooh, not bad. Whoa. The brain isn't a marvelous thing. I can keep going. All it needed was a taste. I didn't trust the visual. Didn't trust the memory of it. Okay, that helped. Thanks, guys. You know what it is about the medication that I've been trying to like put my finger on how I can describe it from my perspective at least, because obviously it's going to interact with people differently or perform differently, and it also depends on the drug. You know when you feel, and this is how I have been feeling in my life in terms of the lack of like executive function and all that fun stuff, is that I feel sluggish, but not like sleepy, and just, when you feel sluggish and you kind of have to drag yourself to do things. But then compare that feeling to when you have something that you want to do and you're excited to do it and you can stay focused on it. Like, even if it's watching a TV show, like, that's easy for you to do. Sorry, I'm trying to pull my shoe ton up. Yeah, it's something you're excited to do. Or even like online shopping. Maybe you've been wanting to online shop, and so you can so easily convince your brain to do that because it's like, ooh, fun. Whereas with the medication now, I don't feel sluggish, but I still have to get myself to do the thing. Like, just because I'm on the medication now doesn't mean that I'm instantly like, oh my God, I can just run on autopilot like a sim. You know how the Sims just do their own thing after a while? Yeah, no. If I allow myself to sit down and watch TikTok for an hour, it doesn't matter if I have the medication or not. Like, I'm going to sit down and 10 hours is going to pass. Like, I have to tell myself to do the things. But the difference is that I'm not like, oh, I gotta do that or whatever, it's like I can just do it because I don't have that weight, almost that feeling of that weight holding me back or holding me down or slowing me down. Maybe that's a better example. I finished editing the video today. Well, up until, what is today? The 22nd. So I've got my appointment on Tuesday, and I realized the second half of this video has been a little bit heavy. So yeah, down in the dumps during the whole period couple of weeks, feeling so much better as expected. Of course, I will be mentioning all of this to the psychiatrist. I'll get her take on everything, but I just wanted to provide a little update before that update, because it literally, that mindset is localized to that time of the month. Like, it is not something that bleeds into the rest of the month. Even with Reese's health stuff, I'm feeling so much better. All the things that were stressing me out before are just non-issues now. I mean, like, Reese's health, I'm obviously still really concerned about, but it's not affecting my mood day to day like it was. I can just handle so much more. I also wanted to talk a little bit more briefly about how I felt with the medication, because I think I did actually a really good job of explaining the difference I feel with the medication in that last clip. Imagine you are carrying a big weight with you throughout your life, okay? I keep looking at myself, I need to look at you. You're carrying this weight, it's attached to your leg, and you're still able to do everything that you would normally do or that other people are doing, but it takes you longer to do those things. You have to really try and psych yourself into doing anything because you know you have to carry that weight around. When you eventually do something, it takes you so much longer to recover from it because you're physically exhausted from having to carry that thing with you. This is how it feels for me, at least, with inattentive ADHD and on dexamphetamine. So this only really pertains to me. I can't speak on other people's experiences, obviously. And then when you are on the medication, it feels like that weight is gone. So it isn't like I'm on roller skates and I'm going so much faster than everyone else would be. No, I'm just going at the same pace. I'm not getting exhausted so quickly. I'm not going, oh my God, I have to do this task, because I know that I'm not carrying that weight around, so it's going to be so much easier for me. It's not as daunting. It's not as exhausting. I can move again through tasks at a regular, normal pace. I can get so much done. Easy to have motivation to do those things again because I'm not having to carry that weight around. I just don't feel sluggish. And that's how I explained it kind of in that last clip, like having that pull, that weight kind of slowing you down, and then the medication taking that weight off. And because my appetite's so low, it's like my stomach capacity has shrunk, and so I just can't eat much at dinner either, which is bad because I need to eat, obviously. Like, I'm not trying to lose weight, God no, like I'm literally just trying to sustain myself day to day. And I do wonder if that's why a lot of people that have ADHD and then get diagnosed seem to lose weight afterwards. I've never made the connection because I didn't ever look into medication and I didn't know the side effects because I wasn't interested in even taking medication in the first place. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. I will give you an update when I see my psychiatrist. I just got the confirmation text today, so exciting. I was just thinking that I'm trying to post a TikTok every single day because that's what you need to do these days. This is going to be a real test of the whole ADHD burnout thing because I always do this. I always used to do this. I'll be like, oh, I've got to do this, and I'll commit to it and get excited about it initially, and then I burnt myself out, or I just couldn't get excited about it anymore, so I just stopped doing it altogether. Like, oh God, I can think of so many things like that. But now that I'm on the medication, let's see if I actually can stick to it. I'll have to do a follow-up in like a separate video because I want to upload this after I had that second psychiatry appointment. But today's the day, guys. I have the follow-up psychiatry appointment in the afternoon. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, round 2. My appointment is in 45 minutes. I've got to go. I've been busy all morning, so I haven't even had time to go over what I'm going to be saying, but I'll do that on the drive there. Wish me luck. Okay, that was a great appointment. She's so lovely. Basically, we got in there and she said, so how's everything been going? Like, how's the medication? And I explained that weight to her. I said, you know, I felt like I had a weight that I was carrying around for so long, that everything that should have been easy was just hard, and it took so much more energy to get moving because I was carrying this stupid weight around. And I said, not a weight as in like a depression or like a sadness, but a weight as in like it takes longer to get started. It's harder to get started because I have to carry this heavy weight. I burn out more quickly. I can't go as fast as other people doing the same things that they're doing that they make seem so easy. And now on this medication, like that weight has just gone. It's just not there. Like, I feel light. I feel like I'm not struggling. And then I did mention to her, I was like, you know, when I first came in, I was thinking about how I was saying, oh, I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I have it. And that was because I was so paranoid that you would think that I was trying to like chase some kind of diagnosis or something. Because obviously, you know, it's been popular on social media, and she was nodding and understood. And I was like, I should have been assertive. Like, I should have said, no, I think I do have this. Like, after, you know, nabbing on the medication, it's much clearer to me that I do struggle with these things. And she said, no, you can't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's hindsight. You didn't know at that time because you had nothing to compare it to. Now that you do, you understand. And I said, you know, I don't have these like racing thoughts that other people, this was later on in the conversation, I don't have these racing thoughts that people say that they have, where their mind just goes quiet as soon as they're on the medication. She said, no, that's more of like the other type of ADHD, which is the hyperactive type, not the inattentive type. I was like, oh, okay. But I need to turn the car on, it's so hot. She was really happy to hear that it was helpful. And then I said, yeah, and so because of, you know, I wanted to make the appointment longer because I wanted to ask you about a few of these things. And given this, before you said it was a tricky case and you weren't really 100% sure whether or not I did have it, I was like, is it easier for you to come to a conclusion now? Like, do you have an idea? And she said, yeah, like the way you described the before and after of the medication is the same way that other people describe it, which is that weight. And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny, because I never actually saw that. Like, that's not even something that I read online, like on Reddit or anything. Like, I never saw anyone just describing it as that weight. That was literally something that came to me like a week or two ago after 2 months of taking it, the medication. She's like, a lot of them say that they're carrying this weight around and then they take the medication and the weight's gone. And I was like, huh. And she said, the fact that you feel that way and it's been so, like, such a before and after for you would indicate that you do have inattentive ADHD. And just the other struggles. And I told her a lot about some anxieties I've been having around Reese's health and how much it's like affecting me. And she said, you know, the anxiety in general it's normal considering the situation you're in. Like, it's a stressful event and a stressful time, but you're probably have a layer of anxiety that's worsened on top of that because of the ADHD that you've had. And the fact that I probably have to put in more effort to create these routines that make me feel comfortable and calm and, you know, safe, I guess. I put a lot of effort into that because it makes me feel that way. It gives me that sense of like security and calm. Someone's walking by. And so when that is disrupted, it probably is even harder for me because I've had to work so much harder to develop them, and they're so much more important for me because I need them to feel calm. So the disruption makes it worse, causes that like extra layer of anxiety. And then we also spoke about the period thing and like how medication doesn't seem to do anything, and she said, yeah, that's a really common thing with this medication. She said a lot of psychiatric medication just doesn't do anything or isn't nearly as effective before your period. So that was so validating because I was like, I don't know if I'm making this up or like, I mean, I knew I wasn't making it up, but different doctors have different interpretations of stuff. And so she said that I can basically like double my dose during that week leading up. She said women with ADHD often tend to get PMDD, which is where you just don't really recognize yourself. You're like a very different person. And I said, yeah, this has been like affecting me pretty badly this past few months. I'm not sure if it's worse because of my stress levels, but like I go from being happy and optimistic and looking for the silver lining and chill to being like pessimistic and gloomy and like apathetic and just like irritable, and I hate it. Like, it's a different person. Like, I actually don't recognize that person. And so she's also prescribed me fluoxetine, which is so funny because that's what I said to her. That's what my dog takes for her anxiety. And she said, yeah, it's really good for dogs too. She said there's evidence that taking like a micro dose of an antidepressant, which is what that is, like literally like a quarter of that normal dose, 7 to 10 days before your period, it increases, I think she said, serotonin, and just prevents you from going deep into that place. And she said because it's such a small dose, you don't need to wean off it like you do normally if you're taking the full dose. So you can just stop and start it during those 7 to 10 days. And so I need to get that filled. She said that it's been out of stock. So hopefully, because I'm literally on like the first day, I think, of my luteal phase, and I can tell today I've been irritable. And like my road rage, I can tell when it's coming because my road rage gets really bad. And I've just been frustrated. And so I really hope it's in stock because I'm going to go get it now. We have a follow-up appointment in 3 months because she wants to check how that anxiety medication's going. And oh, there's another person coming. She said I need to see her twice a year. So once every 6 months. And I said, so do I get this medication through my GP or? And she said, no, like you'll get it from me because she'll give me enough to last me until my next appointment with her. That appointment was like $280, I think, and then the Medicare rebate, so I don't know how much that will be, but that was also a 30-minute appointment, so hopefully going forward it'll be half of that again, I hope. But regardless, like, it's worth it. So yeah, she said, like, I can't wait to see, you know, what your life is going to be like in 12 to 18 months when hopefully the whole transplant thing is passed and you'll probably feel like an entirely new person because all of these stresses that have been really impacting you will be gone, and you'll just have this like really improved way of life because you got the medication. And I literally said, oh my God, I hope so. Anyway, I'm stoked. I feel like that gave me the clarity that I needed. I don't feel like there's anything that I said that was influenced by what I've read online. I'd be so worried if something that I said to her about how the medication makes me feel was something that I saw someone else say, and then I would have that imposter syndrome thing again, like, oh my God, what, did I steal someone else's idea? And does that mean I don't actually have it because I had to think about someone else's example? No, that example was conjured up in my own brain. Oh, it's so nice not to doubt myself for once. I can finally upload this video. Yeah, she's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So glad I went on this journey. I feel so, this is such a full circle moment. Full circle moment. And I also want to say, like, thank you to those of you who even messaged me about this. There's honestly no way I would have come to this conclusion had it not been for those of you who had recognized similar behaviors in me that you have in yourself because with ADHD, because otherwise I probably would never have made the connection and I would have just continued to struggle and be hard on myself, and that's a really depressing thought. It's one thing to feel the regret of knowing that I could have lived up to my potential in the last 10 years even more, but it's another thing to at least know that going forward I'm not going to be repeating that cycle and I'm going to have a chance at reaching my full potential. It's so nice. I won't end the whole video now because I still want to take that fluoxetine and see if that helps premenstrual stuff. So I'll probably end it after in a couple of weeks then, so that I can let you know, just say if you're curious, like if it did help or not. Fluoxetine was in stock. I am on the exact same dose of fluoxetine as memes. Same, like a quarter of a tablet and the same milligrams. Like we're actually taking the exact same medication. I was using ChatGPT just to ask it some questions about stuff. And then I googled the microdosing with fluoxetine. PMDD is linked to sensitivity to hormonal changes, particularly progesterone and estrogen, which can disrupt serotonin levels. Fluoxetine stabilizes serotonin, alleviating mood swings, anxiety, and irritability. So studies show fluoxetine, even at low doses, can significantly reduce severe mood swings, anxiety and irritability, physical symptoms like fatigue and body pain. Stunning. I just wanted to mention, I'm actually just pause this while I'm talking. If you are also a person with ADHD, or you are sensitive to sounds, or you are fussy with background music, this particular song, I listen to it all day. It's just the same kind of sounds over again, and it's so good. It keeps me in the zone, and it's nice just to have a noise on in the background. I'll link it below if you're interested. I thought I'd film a little update. So I've been taking the fluoxetine. Today's the 5th day, and it's hard to compare very closely because I'm not really comparing apples to apples. Yeah, Reese was in hospital this time last month, so because he was sick again. So of course I'm going to be like extra stressed and in a bad mental state when, you know, your loved one's in hospital. But even to like business stuff, I did feel a whole lot worse. And even with my like personality in general, I just didn't feel like myself. I felt like I was just in a really, not a good mental place. So this time around, it feels a lot better. Today is definitely, it's creeping up on me, like the worst of it, because I cancelled my workout class, which I also did last month. That's how I know that it's coming, because I just couldn't, I just wasn't in the mood to do it. Yesterday, I could kind of notice a bit more of like a flatness. The days before that were great. Like I felt completely normal, didn't feel I felt happy and great, and no changes, no like anxiety around really anything at all, especially to do like Reese's health and stuff. I have a really intense anxiety, or have been having them around Reese's health stuff, and I don't know if I mentioned that in the video before, but I spoke to the psychiatrist about that, and so that's like kind of a real trigger for me at this point. So when I'm trying to think about how I'm feeling, I think about his health stuff, and how I feel when I think about his health stuff kind of determines how I'm feeling overall. And I've been feeling like completely fine about it, which is good. It gets a bit worse at nighttime. That's just kind of to be expected. So today, instead of taking a quarter of a tablet of the fluoxetine, I took half a tablet. So we'll see how that goes. And then I've just taken my Dex. So yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to like completely not feel any different before at this point in the month, because that's just, it is what it is. But if the fluoxetine can take the edge off and to just keep me from going, like, if my baseline is here and I have to go a little bit like that around this time of the month, and that's so fine, I totally get it. But I just don't want to be going like down there anymore, because that was just not a fun ride for anyone. And when I first started taking the fluoxetine, I was like, this actually, I don't know if this is a placebo, like because I just felt amazing. I was like, am I even in my luteal phase? Like it was really effective, to the point where I was like, is it even this, or am I just like not even affected by my hormones right now? Like it's working so well. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly how it feels, considering I'm not in as stressful environment as I was last time. And I'm also working on business stuff that I was stressed about last time. So I think I just have less stress this month, which is definitely helping in how I'm feeling. So yeah, I'll be able to upload this video soon. Oh my God. I wanted to do a little update. I finally got my period today, so the luteal phase is over. I wanted to give you an update on how the fluoxetine went, because it is kind of hard to compare because I didn't have any traumatic events happen this time. I was also having major imposter syndrome with my business last time, but
This time, Reese and I have been actively working through this course type thing that's like kind of really empowering. So very different circumstances to last month. However, the fluoxetine seemed to really help, because that's the thing though, even last month, like I didn't have any, like business wise, nothing in particular went wrong. I was just so gloomy and doomy about everything. So it is kind of the same in this situation. Like not a lot has changed. I'm just taking more action, if anything. And because I'm taking action, perhaps I would have more reason to have imposter syndrome, because I've got more to compare to, because I'm seeing the results of other people and their businesses. And anyway, whatever. All of this to say, the fluoxetine seemed to make a massive difference. I was on top of the world, and like my medication hasn't felt like it's been less effective this week. I've been taking about the same amount, I think, if not maybe one extra 5 milligram pill, but not every day. I haven't been taking double of everything like she said. So I've been feeling, awesome, so much better. I'm really stoked that she recommended that to me, because it was crippling last month and even the month before that. So I haven't wasted this week just feeling down on myself. Like I've gotten lots of stuff done, and I've just started my period now, so I've stopped the fluoxetine because you're meant to take it premenstrually, taking naproxen instead. I have wanted to talk about this journey so much on my socials, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to say anything until I post this video, so I can finally post it now. I just feel so like, oh my god, I can't believe how far I've come from where I started over a year ago now. Yeah, it was a year ago. I'm so grateful for you guys that to my radar, what is the saying? Brought this to my attention. I don't know, whatever. I don't know if I ever would have made the connection, because as I said in the previous videos, like I had such a clear, crisp, rigid view of who I was, and ADHD just did not coincide with that, because I didn't really fully understand how it worked. I was really thinking about the hyperactive type, and I was like, I'm not like that, so how would it be affecting me? But I've had some really deep chats with some of you in my DMs about your diagnosis process, how you're similar to me. It's just been so helpful, and that's why I love this community. Like those of you who did message me have essentially changed my life, because now I have this unlocked potential that I didn't even know was there. And there is obviously that sadness that I could have done this so much earlier on in my life, but I still am so grateful that I've achieved so much, even at this stage. And then there's also a little bit of sadness about how hard on myself I was, and now I'm just easier on myself, and I understand myself better, and I have the tools and medication to just help me move through those blocks as if they're not actually blocks anymore. They're just little obstacles rather than like massive hurdles that I've got to essentially like force myself through. I'm just really, really optimistic. Like it actually makes me a little bit emotional when I think about it. The future is just bright. Like I just feel really optimistic. I feel hopeful. I feel like I'm not at the mercy of something that I can't control anymore. I just don't feel like I'm running behind anymore. I feel like I've finally caught up. And I know there are many of you who would think like as if you would be behind, like look how much you've achieved in the last 10 years, and that's obviously not lost on me, but I know I could have done even more than that, and I've always been very driven to be successful. So I think that's why it kind of nags me a bit that like despite how much I've done, I could have done even more. And you know, you always want to live up to your full potential, and I just don't know what that would have looked like if I was able to back then. The biggest funny differences is since being on this medication, love this medication, is that every Tuesday, sometimes twice a week, I would drive. It would take me an hour to do this round trip all the way to McDonald's just to get fries and a drink. And it was like a little treat, not the food itself. I mean, obviously the food is yummy, but a treat, get out of the house, stop what you're doing and like take a break. And I do not do that anymore. Like I have no desire to leave what I'm doing, drive, waste an hour to get that food. First of all, the food doesn't even appeal to me anymore. Second of all, it's just such a waste of time. Like I find myself looking at the clock and it's 5 o'clock and I'm like, oh no, like it's approaching dinner time, and like I should be having dinner now. I'm getting ready and winding down. I could work until like 8 p.m. and not to the point of burnout, because you've got to make sure that you're eating during the day, even when you're not hungry. I could just keep on going. And it's so funny to me now, because I think about all these people that I compared myself to online that had these amazing routines and schedules. And I was like, wow, like I just could not understand how that was possible. And now I understand how it's so possible. When you're enjoying something and you have the motivation or the energy to do it, it's just easy. Like that's all you need to get things done is a desire to do it and the energy to do it. I didn't really have either, because I feel like you almost need the energy in order to have the desire, and I didn't have the energy, so it was hard for me to get the desire. That's been so interesting to me. It's so small, but like so significant. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm finally ending the video. I hope this video was helpful. It was very raw, very vulnerable for me, very honest, very personal, kind of hard to share, kind of scared about any comments that I might get. So I'm a little bit nervous to put this out there, but I just hope it reaches the right people. And I hope I can help you in the way that you guys have helped me. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this far if you did. I'm so excited to see what the future holds.